Hello, Timothy. I've got your work up here, and let me just back down a little bit so we can get that in our viewing area. Excellent, excellent. Okay, good. And here we are. Hey, listen, man, you're doing really pretty good stuff. I think it's amazing. To me, I'm blown away that, and for those of you who are watching, Timothy, I don't mean to embarrass you, but Timothy has never used Photoshop or Illustrator before this class. So I think, wow, I just think it's intense what you're doing here. Real good stuff, Timothy. Outstanding work. Couple of comments I think that listen through this and think about it. They'll make sense. They may not make sense at first, but just think about it. I'm going to start with the magazine ad. Okay, you've got some real nice layout going on here. Very, very nice. I think everything's working beautifully. One thing I would recommend against is stroking your type. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here we have, let me see, I guess I'll zoom in like this, and we go to this type here, and we can see that that type has got a dark gray, oh, shoot, darn it, sorry about that. My brother texted me about the Cavs game Monday night. Great, right? Anyway, all right, so you've got this gray, stroke on the type, and at first you would think that's going to work because it's going to separate the white from the background and make it more visible, but it doesn't work like that. It actually it works in reverse, and the reason why is because when you stroke type, it actually changes the letter forms themselves. It has no choice but to do so, as we can clearly see right over here. Okay, see how they're starting to butt up next to each other, and just the letter forms now, there's no open bowl in any of the letter forms, and it's just really changing the whole look. So subsequently what happens is it might look okay when we're this close, but in print, as we back off a little bit, you can see the whole thing just starts to get really muddy. See what I'm saying? So for that reason, well, not for that reason, but that is one of many reasons that I always recommend that students or designers don't stroke type. Okay, so you've got couple of things here. You've got this right alignment here, which means I'm going to draw a guide here, and we'll just pull this guide out here right there to your right margin, and we can see that your right margin isn't consistent because you have a few things that are hanging off that right margin as defined by your headline. Now, if you want to define your margin further, I think you can, but it's got to be some kind of consistency. Right now, I would think the smart thing to do would be align it to your headline. Right there. So, which means that logo's got to come into that guide, and this type, well, the headline, some of these don't, but at least that headline has got to get pulled into that guideline. Other than that, listen, man, I think this is really, really good work. I'm so impressed that, boy, I wish I was this good when I first started. Okay, now I'm going to get into the banner, and there's a couple of things we're going to see in the banner that are inconsistent. I think this is the part that really is going to start making sense to you. Okay, so first of all, in the banner, look how tiny that little, tiny, bitty little logo hiding up in the corner there. And then take a look at the relationship of this logo in relationship to the size of the composition. And you can see that those are inconsistent. This is much smaller in relationship to this composition than this logo is. My recommendation would be to increase the size of that logo. And I think to further solidify visual harmony and consistency, I would place the logo in the same location on the ad, and that is in this lower right-hand corner. Let's get rid of that and take a look at concentrate on the banner itself. Well, actually, I don't want to do that. I do want to go back to that ad. But we look at the banner, and the first thing I think is really obvious. I never noticed it here. But did you know that there's a cover on this pool? That looks like a cover, doesn't it? Is that pool covered? That's really odd. It's kind of bizarre. It's a weird thing. You might even select that water and replace it, with another image of pool water. That's an option. But I just want you to be noticed. You don't have to do that for this. I mean, you're showing proficiency. You're done. I mean, this is great. Well, I shouldn't say you're done. I would recommend that you maybe do some of these edits here, but something like that, I wouldn't worry about it. The type itself, I think, is really abrupt. Okay, so you have this type coming in, sliding in this way, then you have this one popping in, this one coming in from the upper left, this one coming in. So instead of all that, what all that is doing is that's creating too much eye movement. Okay, so what the eye ends up doing is following that, then all of a sudden that goes this way, this comes this way. So your eye is moving around already too much in the ad. You don't want a whole lot of eye movement in your composition. It creates kind of an uncomfortable visual stress. My recommendation would be to have these fade in. Don't put any movement on them. Just have them fade in, fade out. Then that can fade in and fade out. Okay, so when you need to get away from it all, don't forget that. You don't even need that. Complementary meal and drink with any. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think there's too much text, and I think that it's coming in from too many different directions. I would condense this text into maybe two animation frames and just fade in and fade out, so you don't have all this movement. Okay. The other thing I think is really obvious is right here is that we can see a visual disconnect from the type presentation in the magazine ad and in the banner. I think the easy fix there would be to go ahead and use white for the banner. Now, I know you have all this chiseled, these bevel and emboss Photoshop effects on your type, and I think it's a little overpowering. I would definitely back off on those effects, and I would try going with white. I think it'll improve the consistency between the ads. All right? Okay, very good. Any questions, comments, concerns whatsoever, please feel free to get with me, and I'll be glad to clarify. Thank you, Timothy. Good job.